committee meeting of the Harris County Board of Education. At this time, that will take us to item B, that the Harris County Board of Education review and approve the July 13th, 2023 monthly committee meeting agenda as presented. Before we approve that, I would like to make a motion that we amend the agenda to add on the discussion agenda item E5 and add a financial update. So I've made a motion. I need a second. Mr. Green, any discussion? All in favor? All right, so that is, we have amended the agenda to add item E5. At this time, I need a motion to approve our agenda for the evening. Mr. Goodnow seconded. Mr. Proctor, any discussion there? All in favor? So moved. All right, that will take us to item C, public participation portion of our meeting. Mr. Couch, did we have anyone from the public sign up to speak tonight?
No, sir, not at this point. No one's shown up.
Okay. All right, so that will take us to item D, the June 2023 meeting minutes. That the Harris County Board of Education review the attached meeting minutes from the board meetings held in June of 2023. Those are in your packets. I trust you'll review those. If you have any amendments or anything was omitted, please bring that to Ms. Ashley's attention so that we can get that corrected before we vote on those next week. All right. So that will take us to item E1, that the Harris County Board of Education listen to a curriculum department update from Dr. Patterson. Good evening.
Good evening.
I hope you guys have been having a good summer. If you would look in your book at the AP scores that I provided for you, I gave you a comparison of, in black, the school pass rate for this school year. And then next to it in gray, you will see the state pass rate. And then next to that, you would see the global pass rate, because as you know, the College Board does offer AP exams all around the world. And then I gave you the numbers of the students at Harris County High School that took the exams in those areas. I would like to point out this year, we did have 2 science classes that scored 100% pass rate. And those 2 science teachers are very excited about that. Absolutely. Do you have any questions about our AP exam scores? It is impressive. Those teachers work very hard. Those students work very hard as usual.
They do, in fact, and if I recall correctly, and maybe I missed it, but I think the documents that we got ahead of the meeting indicated that the participation rate remained high overall. Is that correct?
The participation rate did remain high. If you look at the second page.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, if you look at the second page, you see that we had just a few students less in the overall number of students, unique students participating in the AP exam, the AP program who took exams, but the number of exams remained the same. So in 2022, we had 321 exams that were taken, and in 2023, we had exactly 321 exams. That's really unusual that we'd have exactly that many exams.
And Dr. Patterson, on your chart, you indicate percentage of AP students with scoring a 3 or more. Again, that to me, that's a significant number. It's maintained the 70% range for a score of 3+. That's phenomenal.
That is phenomenal for 70% of our students to maintain a 3 or higher. 3 years.
And
in a
not
row.
just once, right? This is 3 years running now.
Yes, it is. Mhm.
Dr. Patterson, didn't you mention to me what the national average is in the 60%, something in that neighborhood?
Say that, can you
I
repeat
thought
that?
you said that the 3 or above nationally was somewhere around 61, 62%.
61 or 62%, yes. And the other thing I would like to share with you tonight is just some updates from over the year and where we're headed next year with our CTAE program, and specifically as it applies to the Science and Technology Center. And so I have invited Mr. Dunn to come in and share with you because he can give you that some information. And Mr. Dunn has also invited Mr. Howington to come in.
Thank you, Dr. Patterson. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for having us. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Patterson and Snyder for the support of the CTA program in Harris County. We're doing great things. We're being recognized throughout the state. CTERN is our CTA resource network, which they house all of the professional learning for CTA in the state of Georgia. They see what we're doing and how we're moving. They placed our CTA director, yours truly, on their board of administrators for this upcoming year. Actually, it's a 3-year term that I'll get the opportunity to serve. So excited for that, and be able to provide input and kind of have my finger on the pulse of what's going on with CTA in the state of Georgia. And it's due to the support we got from you guys. Generally speaking, in CTA in Harris County, we're increasing some of our offerings in law and public safety, obviously with the addition of firefighting, but also our criminal investigations. We're really excited about some of our new teachers we've got started this year. Our construction guy is chomping at the bits to get in. It's Mr. Josh Tracy, a local guy, graduated from Harris County High School. I think it was 2000 and 2001. Had a daughter that graduated about 2 years ago. And he's just so excited about getting started. Been cleaning up and getting things prepared. We're also excited to offer heavy equipment operating. In just a few minutes, I'm going to get Townsend to give you some more details about that, but it is going to blow your socks off to see what's going on with that program. With that, we're funding this with some additional grants. We've been able to secure 4 of our teachers in our district. Middle school and high school received diverse power grants at about $12,000 is what we received from diverse. We received a $4,500 computer science grant for training and equipment. We received a $10,000 grant for recruiting, teaching as a profession. Had immense support from HR and other principals that have really allowed us to grow that program a great deal. And of course, the grant that's going to cover our heavy equipment operators. We'll purchase 4 simulators, and again, they're going to be amazing, and that's at a tune of about $417,000. So we secured about $470,000 worth of grants since about early May, something like that.
Congratulations on that.
So you've had a busy summer.
Exciting, very exciting summer. A couple of weeks ago, CW Matthews is probably the largest horizontal construction. You need to learn that verbiage. We think construction, we build up. It's vertical construction, horizontal construction, roads, bridges, highways, railroads, those sorts of things. CW Matthews is probably one of the largest companies in the state of Georgia. They get about 65% of Georgia DOT's work in the metro area, West Georgia, West Central Georgia, North Georgia, and they employ about 2,500 people. They've got a lot of work in the Columbus area, and they'll be here for years. Well, they put on a training program for our heavy equipment operating pathway. Mr. Howington was able to attend that training at Jordan High, and I wanted him to share a little bit about what they shared with him there. So,
When I was there, the gentleman from Georgia Highway Construction, Contractors Association, I was standing there, and he said, "Oh, Mr. Townsend, here's your check for $15,000. And he applied for a grant. We were the only ones, he was the only one that applied for it, the state. There the check was. Anyway, but these people are very seriously about getting some employees out there. And they told me, said, "We're behind you 110%. Whatever you need, let us know." They're very fired up about it. And they put a lot of money into this program. I think we need 23,000 operators in Georgia and 825,000 in the whole country. And that covers mining, construction, and forestry. So there's a big job market out there. And they told me, said, "We're tired of getting the bottom of the barrel, we want the top of the barrel. So that's what we're gonna do. I went to, talking about C-turn, I went to an externship yesterday. I went on a job site and visited and worked a little bit, and it's my nephew, he's doing it. He's 25 years old. He's now a job superintendent. He has 5 foremen under him, and he's making $90,000 a year doing this. And he left high school. He didn't finish his whole high school career. But there's a place out there for other people. And excited about it. Oh, yeah, simulator. So we got these 4 simulators that we're gonna order, and the first, the kids, we can only put 24 kids in the class. 12 of them will be on simulators, and 12 of them will be on Chromebooks doing some online testing. There'll be 3 kids per simulator, so they can swap out with each other. They have to have so much seat time sitting in this simulator. And this simulator is just like the real thing. I operated one on the class, and when I got out of it, I felt like I was been sitting in a crawler all day long. I was just worn out. And it is so real. And it has 3 screens in the front, 1 in the back. And when you put it in reverse, you got to turn around and look at the screen in the back. I told the guy, I said, hey, there's some trees there. I'm gonna run over these trees. He said, don't worry about it, you'll feel it. Because I thought I had to move the trees out of the way. As soon as I did hit the tree, the seat bounced in the simulator. And it is so real. But when these kids get through with this program, they have to go out and actually get in a real machine, or they call it a capstone project. They have first semester, they got to go out and do it for excavators. And then the second one, they got to do it for dozers. So they actually have to go to a real live job site. Think about it, the Georgia Highway Contractors Association, they set all this up. I don't have to do anything. They set it up, they make the contacts. They come in and help me 100%. They show me how to do everything and set it up. And when it's time for the capstone project, they help us get the kids out to the job site and make sure it's a safe place. And they have to perform all these tasks. And if they don't perform the tasks, they don't pass the class. So the beauty of it is the first day when they walk in the classroom, they don't understand. They have to get serious about this class and pass it, or they wasting their time and mine too. But I was very thrilled about it. It's going to be a good thing. I'm still going to do my welding and everything else. This is just going to add on. I'm going to give that up.
Very
luck
good.
with it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Any questions, guys?
I want to ask you, Howard, real quick. I know we were talking a little bit before. I'm very excited about, I'm excited about all the opportunities at CTAE, but since we're talking about the heavy equipment operating, you mentioned to me the number of high schools that they were adding such a program this year. Did you say 9 across the state?
Right.
Which gives
6 last year and 9
Okay.
this year, so it'd be a total of 15 in the whole state.
Across the state, and thankfully we're going to be one of them.
And we're the only state doing it.
Is that right?
We're on the cutting edge of this, so.
That is exciting. And so the other thing I wanted to ask is when our students graduate this class, if I'm a senior and I finish this class, am I work ready for a job site? What certifications, what will I have when I walk out of your room?
If you do everything like you're supposed to, you'll accumulate 10 certifications through Caterpillar and through Sim Scholar. Sim Scholar does the software and the online testing. There's a certification for every one of those. So when a kid leaves the class, he's got 10 certifications. He can get more if he's got enough time to go into the advanced part of it. Plus, he'll have the NCCER credentials and occupational safety and all that stuff too. So,
All of those are industry recognized.
and I was telling you earlier, I didn't tell everybody else, but this past year, I had 469 certifications handed out. The students earned 469 certifications.
Awesome.
At one class.
Look, I don't want to jump in here right quick. Mr. Dunn, what you've been doing with CTAE and the Science and Technology Center has been unbelievable. It's really what we wanted to see. And you've been really successful with it. I'm really proud that you got this grant. And Mark Hamilton, you're exceptional. And I really appreciate what you do.
Thank y'all. It's gonna
We
be a
all
nice
do.
facility over there too.
Yeah.
Mr. Proctor.
So,
I spoke with him and my construction teacher. We're in conversation with him. We talked to him.
Good deal.
Thank you all again for your.
Thank you
support.
all.
Oh, Mr. Hollington, Mr. Couch wants to take the welding course.
Mr. Couch.
I do want a welding course. You're gonna teach me how to weld. It's small engine repair. I need that. Chainsaw.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Y'all remember Mr. Bearden?
Mhm.
He taught Josh Tracy. And he's cut out of the same cloth as Mr. Bearden.
All right, so that will take us to item E2, that the Harris County Board of Education listen to a human resources update from Ms. Carlisle. Good evening.
Think we're off to a great start. You got just a preview of the great new team we're adding to the Harris County faculty and staff. I know Mr. Couch walked by one day this week and he walked by HR and he was like, why are you guys so happy? Most human resources departments aren't this happy. And I'm like, well, you can look at this sheet right in front of you and you can see why we're really happy. Our administrators and our supervisors, they've been really working hard to make sure we bring in the very best and the very brightest. So I usually start out and I show you our vacancies posted and everything that's pending, and you can see we're trending in the right direction. And since the day this was printed, I would say our posted positions, probably out of those 11, 6 are already trending in progress. So we're moving in the right direction. Our goal is 100% filled on by day 1, and we're moving right along. Another good thing, Dr. Finney will probably, let him share most of that, but our bus drivers are coming right along. We're probably 60, I'd say 70% of our open routes are firmly in place, moving on to be filled, and we've got even more after that. So that's been very successful. Last month I shared with you, and you probably saw some of the advertisements for our Parapro campaign, our local, just like we did our local bus driver outreach, which was very successful. We had about a 60 to 70% higher rate from those that attended. And that helped us fill the need for parapros recruiting right here from our community. And that is really a fulfilling and a great thing when you're in HR. And, you know, you watch the numbers and we've really targeted in on our, just like we do test scores, we look at our turnover data and we look at what group we want to focus on, and things are just coming together. So we're really, really pleased. So we're on the way. So moving on, unless you have any questions on that first page. On the second page, just talking to you about our July focus. Just this week on Tuesday, we did this something new. We met with all of our school administrators, and many of them brought their assistant principals, and we had HR day for school admin. And we spent a half day just together. It was great to get the whole team together. And we just went over human resources, protocols, processes, legal, federal rights, employee rights. And we just had a great morning of learning. We made it fun too. Everybody stayed awake and they had a good time. So we were really pleased with them, just building up their capacity in human resources. And you've got a flyer in your notebook. We've got new teacher orientation. That's our next big event coming up. And of course, you're always welcome, and I'll send you a reminder. The first 2 days for our new teacher orientation is Wednesday, July 26th, and we'll be over at the Performance Learning Center on Harbor Circle. That will start at 8 a.m. And usually we love for you to join us at 8 o'clock and grab a cup of coffee on the way in and meet our new teachers. And we're looking forward to that. And we will have that group there Wednesday and Thursday, curriculum and instruction and technology. They do the morning, and then human resources, we take the afternoon. And then the third day we'll also see is on Friday. All of our new teachers go to their school sites, or if they're in a department, they go there and they get some time getting to know their school and some time in the classroom. So that's a next big event we're very excited about. Another thing that rolls around in July, I don't know if anybody's real excited about compliance training, but you know, in HR, that's an exciting thing. Our administrators, they've already started working on their annual Title IX training, and they are coming right along. And it's nice to see those alerts coming in that they're getting trained and retrained. And our compliance director modules, by request, many of our teachers ask that we open those modules in July, so they have some time to do that in a leisurely way. Of course, there's, you know, they can do that when they want. They've got benchmarks, but that's been posted, and some people like to take some time when the the focus isn't on the classroom, so that's coming all along very well. And August, can you believe, August 2 is around the corner and it's time for the back to school kickoff. And I'll send you reminders on that. We've got a great morning scheduled August 2 at the high school. And we'll start out in the cafeteria and then move over to the auditorium. We've got a great speaker lined up. Big Lee McBride, I was thinking, how long have I known Lee? And it's probably over 40 years. So, but he is a comedian. We're gonna laugh. I hope you laugh till you hurt. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna feel uplifted, and our people are gonna feel affirmed, and they're gonna definitely feel valued and ready to go into a new school year, knowing that they do something that's meaningful and feeling really good about this school year. And last but not least, I just want to share, right now we are on track. New hires for this year. Of course, our data is not finished because we're still moving. We still got a list, but we've got about 42 teachers, 4 administrators and or directors, 1 counselor, 30 parapros, 4 clerical staff, 1 bus monitor, and that's about 92 new faculty and staff coming on board. And that is not counting our 11 plus bus drivers that are still training and on the road right now. So that's where we are. Wow, yeah, that's where we're at. So a lot of hard work. Kudos to our school administrators and everybody on the HR team. Definitely, we appreciate those principals for all they do.
If y'all have it down to that, I can see why you're happy.
Now you understand why we're happy. Yes, all right, thank y'all.
Thank you, ma'am. That will take us to item E3, that the Harris County Board of Education listened to a support services department update from Ms. Baker. Good evening.
Good evening.
So good evening again to everyone. I have 2 items of discussion point for you, really just informational pieces. First one I want to mention to you is that our meal application window has opened as of July 1. And we've been working a few years to get to an online process. We are now able, thanks to Mr. Johnson, Ms. Ponder, and Ms. Slayton, to get that application online. So parents can complete
Very
it
good.
online, but they can also complete it hard copy as well if they don't have the online capabilities. And I've given you a flyer to show you all the means of how we are communicating and trying to make sure that parents know that we're out there. We've done a great job. Ms. Crumbly has collaborated with our media partners. So it's been in every source that we can think of in that realm so that parents know it's open. And we are continuously getting the message out through our schools. We'll be at all the sneaker peeks starting on August 3rd through August 7th. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take those at this time. Other than that, I just had that one point to share with you. They could, if we want to get onto the mobile learning lab, they can do so. But it's not operational right now. We are not coming back until, well, they'll be at the one-stop shop, but the mobile learning lab will not be operational again until September for the school year. Considering as restricted as we were, it went pretty well because we had the summer athletes and the summer programs, so we could feed our students. The community involvement wasn't as great, obviously, because people had to come and consume on site. But we did have people to come in and actually eat at all 3 of our sites. Other questions?
Any questions? All right,
Okay,
thank you, ma'am.
you're welcome. So our next point, I have one.
Oh,
more.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry. One more, we are hosting for the very first time what we call a one-stop shop. It's a community resources fair. It will take place on Saturday, July 29th at the community center. We will have, of course, representatives from the Harris County School District, various departments, as well as community partners, other health resource agencies. We'll have a bouncy house, we'll have food trucks, we'll give us free school supplies. This is our way of hoping to help our families prepare to start school so that there'll be everything that they need will be in one place. They can actually get screenings. We'll have sports physicals. The health department will be on site to do those hearing, dental, and vision screenings that our new students need to have prior to coming to school. And many, many other things will be in place. So we're excited about that.
Ms. Baker, did you also say that we wouldn't be able Or they would be able to sign up for their free and reduced lunch at that
Yes.
same time?
We'll have the meal application as well as the student information team will be there, Ms. Ponder and Ms. Slayton. So we'll have people with the ability to complete online registration. We'll have them with the ability to create their parent portals, because a lot of people don't know how to do that. And we'll also have an opportunity for people to learn how to complete those online forms that a lot of our schools are requiring. Because we are going to online for ASCP, we've gone, of course, to meal applications. Our telehealth forms are online, and the high school has been using it for a lot, so we're gonna try to make sure we push people to that form. You're welcome. So there are no questions?
Any other questions? Mr.
I,
Couch?
I would like to encourage you to make sure that y'all have a lot of support for the less than technologically inclined,
We will,
me and others.
we will. That's what we're gonna have Deb and Ms. Ponder there. And
Thank-
Global Learning Lab
Thank
staff.
you.
We're gonna be there
On
too.
behalf of the generations before you, we appreciate it. Yeah, telling you.
We'll even have hotspots on file, so we'll make sure that we can have internet connectivity as
Thank
well.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker.
All right, so that will take us to item E4, that the Harris County Board of Education listen to a facilities and technology update from Dr. Finney. Good evening, sir.
As you can see, our good friend Tom Owens is here to talk about our draft resolution for the East Lost and the bond referendum. So the first part of my time, I'm gonna yield to Tom here. He has got some presentation and some numbers for you. If that suits you, Tom, and suits the board. Okay. Okay.
All right. Good evening. Good to see you, Tom. The presentation looks a lot like what we look at every time we go. It'll few more months up there.
Thank you.
We'll talk a bit about the referendum question, DJ. So let's jump in here. Of course, you've got the sales tax. If you go to slide 3, pointed this out in your last meeting, but I always like to just state it, on the record for the public, that when we talk about sales tax, there are really just 3 things we can do with sales tax, which are spend it on capital projects, pay previously incurred debt, and pay debt that's issued concurrently with the authorization of the sales tax. So I just always like to say, we can't go pay teachers. We can't, there's a lot of operational things that sometimes the public wants done with sales tax, and we just don't have the legal ability to do those things, which is why we mostly see sales tax spent on capital items almost exclusively. Anyway, if we move to page 4, up there at the top, we're talking about the current SPLOST that we're in is SPLOST 6, and it was originally scheduled to run all the way through December of 2026. But it has a collection cap, and I'll show you in a moment. We think that collection cap is probably going to be reached at this point 2 quarters early. SPLOST is levied in full calendar quarters, so 3 months in 3-month increments. The SPLOST ceases at the end of the quarter in which you hit your collection cap. Well, we think that will probably happen in the quarter ending June of 2026. And so you're going to have a referendum resolution, not necessarily for your consideration tonight as an action item, but it's for your consideration of whether or not we've drafted it properly this evening. And it's going to do 2 things. It's going to authorize, or it's going to ask voters to authorize rather the continuation of that sales tax. Whenever the current one ends, it would be behind that. So we're not overlapping, talking about a sales tax to be queued up behind the one that's currently in effect. And then we're also talking about a bond question, which would allow us to forward fund some more projects. We'll talk about that in a moment. But when we look at the sales tax, it has performed remarkably over the last couple of years. 2023 in comparison to 2022, we have not seen as much growth, and that may be clear if we look over at page 5. Sales tax and spending in general feels like it maybe has plateaued a little bit. I'm showing only 0.26% growth first 6 months of this year compared to how the average check that was received in 2022. But the important thing to take away from this slide is that we're right at 4.3 million per year
is what our most recent 12 months of sales tax looks like. Page 6 just shows you that this is just a chart kind of mapping out where might we hit that collection cap. It may still be a little early to tell, but at this point you were above the 2-quarter early mark. If you go above the 3-quarter, it will be 3-quarter early, but at this point, with the way the sales tax is kind of moving sideways for the moment, I would say 2 quarters seems like the most logical estimate. We of course won't know until that plays out exactly, but we do make some projections on page 7. And these assume sales tax quits 2 quarters early. And so that would be June of 2026. The levy of the renewal, what I would call SPLOST 7, would begin July 1st of 2026 if that holds. And so these are projections made assuming that that is the start date of the new sales tax. They could vary to some degree if you're earlier or later, but in total, we shouldn't be far off on what it will collect, just a matter of when that sales tax will be collected. But if we multiply the 4.35 times, you get a 0% growth rate of right at $21.5 million. We have talked about this issue before, but one of the items that goes into this resolution is you do set a collection cap for the renewal sales tax. We obviously set that cap a little low last time. In retrospect, looking at how the sales tax is performed, what is in the draft resolution right now is a figure of 32.5 million, which is something I think we talked about when I was here maybe in February or March sometime. That's something that is on my list to kind of confirm with the board that if you can look at those growth rates down at the bottom right hand, I project that it would be about 8% year-over-year growth for us to hit that $32.5 million cap. And we can look back at the slide on page 5. The last 2 or 3 years, we have been up around 10. But I would suggest that the last 2 or 3 years have been rather extraordinary in terms of how the sales tax has grown. I've never, the other 17 years or so of my career, most folks, in fact, I don't know anybody who's just grown 10% year after year after year. So I'm comfortable with the $32.5 million number, but this is obviously the board's decision. But if you were asking me to make a recommendation, I'm still comfortable with that $32.5 million level. But that is something for you to think about and give us some feedback if you want us to use a different number there. The other thing that this resolution will do, it has to sort of describe what the board's intent for the sales tax is. And so we have to put in the maximum amount of prior bonds that we're going to pay with the from sales tax proceeds. You will remember that you also have a 1 mil bond millage that's collected and paid towards bond payments. And so we can partially offset these with that bond millage, and we actually are going to need to apply some of that bond millage to a renewal bond on payments that come due prior to the new SPLOST beginning. I'll show you that in just a moment. But I've basically totaled up these 5 years and rounded up just slightly. And the resolution states that the maximum amount we would spend on old bonds is what you see highlighted here in yellow. Again, we can apply less sales tax to it. We just can't apply more sales tax to that very easily without getting into sort of a default. What do you do with extra sales tax scenario? But those payments are in fact included. The ability to make 100% of those payments is included in your new resolution. I do want to point out, like I did last time, y'all just got such a remarkable situation in terms of your debt. I like to brag on it a little bit. Those last 2 bonds were borrowed at what we call an arbitrage yield of 161 and 125, and I'm just tickled about it. If you look at page 9, particularly for that bond that was borrowed in 2020, this just shows you what happened to new school construction prices in 2022 and so far in 2023. It's on a year-over-year basis, but you're borrowing around 1.5, and prices got more expensive by about 15%. So about a 10 times price increase versus what you're paying in interest on those bonds. And I just couldn't be happier about the way that played out. That was absolutely the right thing for us to do. And if you look at page 10, one of the things we've always talked about is sort of a long-term perspective of our debt. That is exactly what you guys have done. You borrowed debt while it was inexpensive, knowing that we could always pay debt down. What we can't do is go extend debt without going back and seeking more voter authorization. And so this purple line is just, that is the 1.7 million, which is roughly what bond mill produces. And you can see at this moment, it covers a good bit of that debt, and everything up to this green line, which represents the bond millage plus your sales tax. You can see we really are in a pretty good cash flow situation as far as the sales tax is concerned. And this also assumes those two things continue indefinitely, which isn't a given. But if you go one more page, page 11 adds in what I have projected is debt needed to produce 27 million, which hopefully is a high side figure. But you'll see I've put a red box around a couple of those green payments. Those are payments on the new bonds, interest payments that could occur prior to the new sales tax starting. And the rule is we can't pay bonds that were authorized after the fact with the current sales tax. So we can't use any sales tax money, or we can't use any of the current sales tax money and apply it to bonds that we're just now voting after the fact. And so what I'm demonstrating here is before that black line where I think the new sales tax will kick in, we're going to need to shift some of that bond millage to cover interest on this new bond. And then you can see those payments will be feathered in. What I've tried to do is create an overall level debt service picture on the new bonds. But I think when we wrap those around your existing payments, when we get to full freight, we'll be at about 4.2 million a year. And right now your sales tax plus the bond millage is producing about $6 million a year. So again, when it comes down to it, if we ever felt like we just have too much money, we can always pay down debt. But I think it's really nice that what we've got is really inexpensive debt. And we're going to have a little sliver on top of that we can use towards pay-as-you-go projects. Hopefully both that bond millage and the sales tax continue growing, because I know we are going to eventually have other needs as well. But from a debt standpoint, what is in this resolution is the ability to borrow up to $27 million of principal. And then if you'll flip over, I'm going to take a little sidebar here. If you go to page 13, this is just the calendar. It's exactly the calendar that you've seen before. But we are right on schedule for you to adopt this resolution in either late July or early August. Would give us plenty of time. Yes, I think you confirmed that with the local election folks.
Yes, I confirm that with the local election folks. He needs to kind of know what we're doing. Next week, which he can notify the municipalities in the secretary's.
Okay, so we're right here at where we need to take action. And I think is that sort of more of an informal at that point, or is that giving her the final resolution?
Well, that's kind of an informal.
Okay.
Get the ball rolling and notify them.
All right. So anyway, I think if this is adopted, not necessarily tonight, but over the next couple of weeks, you're in good shape from a timing perspective. But there are two things that are also in the official resolution. There are two questions that go on the ballot. One is the renewal of the sales tax, and then one is the approval of the bond. So a two-question ballot, but there's language, and if you can flip between page 14 and 15, you'll see the language largely mirrors itself. And what I'm getting to is we have to identify what our project list is. So when we look at the sales tax, it does those things we said. It says a portion of this sales tax in a maximum amount can be applied towards the new bond, and that's payments that come due basically in the first 5-year window. And then it identifies the 2020 bond, the 2022 bond, and again, the maximum amounts that we can apply to those payments. We can always do less, this is the most. And then at the bottom is really the important part of this, which identifies what projects are we listing, because that is really what the sales tax is eligible to be used on. When you flip over to the bond question, all this is really saying is, can we issue bonds for any of those same projects, right? So if we look at that list just briefly, obviously a new elementary school, I think is the primary purpose of what we're, the primary project that we're looking at. And then beyond that, we've got sort of what I call kitchen sink language, which is other capital facilities, projects that require construction, renovations, and modification to include but not limited to the additions, to additions to facilities, HVAC replacement and upgrades, kitchen equipment replacements and upgrades, flooring, painting, paving, grading and roofing, bus purchases, and then there's a bottom that's technology and improvements, hardware, software, that type of thing. So
Tom, I want to ask. the
we
board-
could always add to this list, but that's sort of.
Yeah, I want to ask the board to
That's the
consider
basic.
adding textbooks because we're about to get through some major adoption cycles and we don't have textbook monies except in the general budget.
Yes, and I don't believe textbooks fits very well into the question as it's written, so.
Well, it doesn't.
Okay.
We're caught in that now. So we'll think about that one.
Okay, so, but yeah, that's the purpose of us talking tonight, you know, are we comfortable with cap? Are we comfortable with, the project list? And then, you know, I think the other is largely just the be adding up numbers to put in for how much are we gonna, you know, how much do we need to be able to pay on the others, but, I've said a lot. I think I've kind of maybe hopefully teed you up for what your discussion items need to be, but, Justin, is there anything I've overlooked?
To John Ramage today, very timely. And he said we're earning about 12 units on a new elementary school right now, which would put us at about $1.7 million that we've earned. We can either make an application, go ahead and make an application and spend 1 million or 1 point whatever million along with what we're doing here, or we can even wait another year and accumulate more money for that. Either way, we would need to do this process at this time. At this time, John actually suggested and hoped we'd probably wait and make the application not right now, but next summer, because we would accumulate more money in state capital outlay. But the process is going to take a while. If you guys decide to do this, we're going to have to do a lot of public relations and, you know, those kind of things again to build interest in this.
Questions?
And I think I know the answer, but I'm asking because I want to make sure.
Okay.
One of the things that we have considered, we may see the need for at some point, are mobile units if we, you know, need to adapt in a hurry.
Right.
The way the language is written currently would fit into that, right? Under the capital facility projects that require construction, et cetera, et cetera. I would think the addition of temporary units would fit in there, okay?
Let's think about that. We could be more clear, perhaps.
That might-
with Mr. Ellington about that, but we may want to tweak that language just to make it without question.
And that'll be up to obviously the rest of this team, but
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask about that. That's something we need to consider.
I mean, I just, you know, I've always deferred to Greg about that type of thing, but I think we should, if it's something you want, we need to be absolutely sure that it fits within the question. And that's.
Go with modular. Let's still do trailer. Good question.
I mean, this is just kind of a petty question, but
No.
just from my information, so like if the current bond runs out and we collect it all in June.
Yes.
Correct. So in the second quarter, it will start beginning of third quarter, correct?
In 2026.
In 2026, and it runs for 4 concurrent years, right?
5 years.
5 years. So would it end at the end of the year or would it go through second quarter of?
It would go 20
31.
quarters, so it would end mid-year as well if it went to the full term. That's exactly right.
Hmm.
And I don't know why it's quarters, but Department of Revenue doesn't want to do this every month, I guess, so that.
Well. All right.
Tom, you always do a great job.
Thank you, sir.
explaining it. Great job.
Thank you all.
We appreciate it.
Okay, so talking about SPOS and bonds, I'll just follow up with an update on the indoor practice facility. We are just about finished with the front part of it. Sent you guys some pictures this week as far as floors and the giant HC that's now up on there that really is the crown of that building. The projected finish date is September 1st, and that's because we, had a delay in the roofing, and then we had a delay in getting the switch gear, which is the main electrical components, also the diesel or the generator. So, we're getting there, and it's getting very close. If anybody. Well, I've got ribbon cutting right here, so I'm anticipating a ribbon cutting somewhere in the middle of August. So I'll start getting some projected dates from you guys on that. And if you haven't been by there, I'd be happy to take you by just to kind of give you a sneak peek, if you'd like, but it's going to be a great facility. So they're finishing up some of the sidewalks outside. They're starting to get the sidewalk poured from up at the middle school. They're getting that framed out and up the hill to the facility. They graded out all of the excess dirt back there on the back, and so it's looking a lot better. So we're in good shape there. Any questions on the indoor practice facility?
And I just say, my neighbors certainly appreciate the grading. It looks really, really good back there.
Good, good. I know they had some concerns that we worked with them and the contractor worked with them. And so we assured them that it was going to look good, and it's even going to look better once the grass starts growing. So appreciate that feedback. The tennis courts are well underway, and those things are bigger than what they looked on paper. If you've been by there to see the grading, Georgia Power has done all of the running the main electrical power lines through there. Now they're doing the underground drainage pipes and things like that. So once they get that and get it leveled off and graded, you're going to see that thing start coming up out of the ground. So we're in good shape on the
Can I ask you
tennis
one more-
court construction.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question on that one? If that stays on track,
Mhm.
right? When will it be available for use? Will it be ready for spring?
I think they were saying something like 120 to 140 days, something like that. So I'd have to go back and look at the exact start
That's
date.
fine. I just couldn't remember. I
But it's
knew it
going
was,
to be this fall.
okay,
Yeah, it's going to be easily this fall.
okay, perfect.
Yes. STC, the Science and Technology Center demo and construction. If you haven't gone by and seen that, be careful if you go by, but the demo really hits home when you walk in there and you see an excavator inside the gym tearing the ceiling down from the inside. So we did set aside some bricks for the alumni. So we do have some of those if they want them, and they were going to be cleaning up some of those bricks anyway to use for when we tie the buildings back together so that all the bricks match. So we've got plenty of bricks for the alumni that would like a memento from that gym.
But who do they need to see? It's not a free for all.
No, it's not a free for all to
Who
go
do
up
they
there
need
and
to
start
see?
grabbing bricks. They need to contact me, and we can arrange to have that. We're putting it together where we'll have a process by which they'll be notified and can get their brick. We don't want them going out there trying to pull one off the wall. So, yeah. I could.
Dr. Finney, we do need to add that to our website.
Yeah.
Because I've had several people contact me already.
Okay.
Yes. A lot of people played basketball in there.
Right, they have. And let me make sure I get this, the 400 wing that we're re-roofing, they're starting to tear the roof off of that, so that construction is starting in there. And of course, Service Master is continuing on in the middle wing with the demolition and renovations that are going on in there. So we've got a lot going on over in that building, a lot. It's not going to affect the start of schools. Matter of fact, they've already got most of the utilities back up and running over there. So when you go over there, there's electricity and water. Of course, the fire alarm is down. We'll have all of that back up. Some of the phone lines that are the old copper lines are still down, but we'll have all that back up and running by the time school starts. So in that respect, we're in really good shape. The only real hiccup is the asbestos abatement was quite a bit more than was originally planned. And like everything else, it just goes up. And we had originally planned for $90,000 for asbestos abatement. It wound up being about 370,000. So we had to do a change order on that asbestos abatement. And when you're talking about asbestos abatement, it's not one of those change orders that you can say, do we want to do this or not?
No.
Yeah, so it had to go. But we went through with the contractor, and the contractor took bids, and we went through the bidding process, and that was the lowest bid. So, but all of the asbestos has been removed and abated, and so we are on to the
Very good.
demolition. So any questions on that? Okay, transportation update. We've got a tentative director. I have to change that on my notes there. And our driver training is going fantastic. Paul Bowden has done a fantastic job, and the trainer have done a fantastic job getting those folks in and keeping them interested and keeping them trained and keeping them motivated. We had, at the end of the year, we had 16 open positions. Right now, we've got 16 drivers in training. Well, let me change that. It's actually, we've got 15, and we've got one in the wings that is already certified that are coming on. If everybody makes it, if everybody stays with us, we're gonna have all of our spots filled this school year. So we've got them in 3 groups right now. So we've got 8 or 9 of them finishing before the first day of school, ready to drive on the first day of school. Then we've got a couple, 2 or 3 that will start on the second week of school. Then we've got 2 or 3 that'll start the third week of school. And that's because of the timeline that they have to go through to get their third-party evaluations. But all of them have their third-party evaluation scheduled. So if they've gotten through to the point where we've scheduled their third-party evaluation, then it's looking pretty good. That does not even take into account our 4 auxiliary sub drivers that we already have. So if we've got 9 drivers, we've got 4 auxiliary subs. We've also got some previous drivers that have contacted us that can help us as subs. Mornings, afternoons, different times. So most of them can really drive in the morning, which really helps us because that's when we really need the drivers. It's in the morning, because in the afternoon, until we get everybody trained, we can run tier 2 routes until then. We have another 5 drivers that are going to start in July because right now, anything could happen. They could either come on and be subs, or they could come on and be full-time drivers. So if everybody comes back from the summertime, our current drivers, and we get all these folks through training that we've got going on, we're going to be in really, really good shape.
Dr. Penny, before we move on to away from drivers, how is it going with our teachers, coaches, those ones that wanted to
We're
sign
not
up?
making, I'll just be honest with you, we're not making a lot of good headway there. So we're trying to generate more interest there. But if we get all of these drivers in here, and have all of our auxiliaries and subs, we're going to have enough to do our athletic trips and do our field trips and things like that. So we're looking in real good shape there. We've got some drivers previously too. That will drive those athletic routes for us. So we're trying to get them from everywhere, Mr. Couch.
Yeah, Dr. Sparks sent in a question about the asbestos being so much higher. Did we run into areas where there was more than we anticipated?
Yes, we did. That was part of it, but that was not all of it. A lot of
Inflation.
it was a cost increase, but out of that $370,000, another 50,000, but about 50,000 of it was asbestos that we did not anticipate.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
We were shocked when we got those bids back,
I bet.
because some of them were $500,000-$600,000.
Dr. Finney,
Yes, sir.
talking about our bus driver training, I had a conversation a few weeks ago with 2 bus drivers to our neighbor to the north of us. And I was informed, I mean, I don't want to say anything that I'm not supposed to, but I was informed that those drivers almost like sign a contract that they're going to drive for a year. No, after they go through the training and everything, it's almost like I guess they hold their job or they have a job for a year. But I mean, I know we have talked about it here several times about having them sign some kind of contract that they'll drive for us for a year. And like I said, I mean, I just have met these people, had the conversation. I knew they were bus drivers and I had the conversation.
But they're not our bus drivers, is what you're saying.
They're not,
Okay.
they're bus drivers to
Okay.
a county to the north.
Okay.
But I know we had always said that we didn't think that we could hold them accountable and hold them to some sort of agreement to drive for us a year. And I know I'm being told, I'm not gonna say I know, I'm being told that they do that.
Okay. That would be a decision we would have to decide and what the
Let's check
legalities
into it.
would be.
You'd have to enforce it.
Yeah.
And that's the part I want to know more about.
Yeah, how and if we can enforce it would be the key.
I'd like to
We'll
say,
call them.
I'd like to say, Mr. Chair, that I'm glad we're having this conversation this year rather than one we did last year.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So it is an exciting time.
Will.
I trust and believe that they'll all be here,
Yeah.
that they will stay with us and life will be grand. It's exciting to hear that, if that's the case, the skies are sunny for our field trips to start back. And, I know some of my colleagues will be glad to quit getting the email saying how bad we need
Yeah.
bus drivers.
Yeah.
So it's all, it's
Yeah,
all good.
exactly. Well, I have to give credit to the whole team. Paul Bowden has done a great job. The trainers have done a great job. HR has done a fantastic job helping us in every single way to get these folks on board. I'm trying to call all of the drivers this summer to check in on them, to see how they're doing and to fish out if they're coming back or not. And so I'm about 80% of the way through the list, and so far, there are no surprises. There are no surprises. So I don't want to paint too rosy of a picture because we've still got to get these folks through their evaluations, but we're looking better than we have in a long time. Yes, sir.
So and this may be a question for you or Ms. Carlisle, but how much do y'all attribute, was it biscuits with bus drivers? I can't remember what the official title was. Do you think that had an impact on this situation that we're in?
It did, because I would say probably a third to half of the people that are of the 14 trainers came to Biscuits with Bus Drivers. Yeah. Yeah. I think we will. Yeah. Yeah. DOT inspections were at the end of June. All 100 of all of our buses were in 100 compliance with the DOT safety inspection. They found no areas of remediation whatsoever. So our fleet is doing a very good job keeping our buses up and running. And one thing we attribute that to, not just their good mechanical skills, but also the fact that we've modernized our bus fleet is a big thing. We have all new 10 buses have arrived. I'm actually doing my bus driver training on 2424, and it is a Cadillac. And it drives better than my truck. So those buses are really, really nice. And they will be on the road, ready for service on the first day of school. Right now, we're washing all the buses, cleaning all the buses, getting them ready, servicing all of the air conditioners is ongoing. We'll be working on our, as soon as our vendor notifies us, we'll be starting our camera upgrades and GPS upgrades. And then we've also done a new online transportation request form with the help of Jeannie Ponder. Just like Ms. Baker has got those forms online as well. Jeannie and Deb are doing a fantastic job harnessing the technology in Infinite Campus and Parent Portal and communicating with all of our other online platforms. And they're really streamlining a lot of these processes. So thanks to them as well.
Chair, can I ask one question about that?
Yes.
So the cameras and GPS, is that related to the program we saw at the end of last year?
It is.
And how many buses will that go on?
Well, the bus ride, the actual So we're gonna be able to have GPS tracking on all of the buses as soon as the cameras are on. As far as the bus right software and things like that, that's gonna be a more in-depth technical rollout. So for the full up program that we're getting, we're gonna be starting that at Pine Ridge, and we're going to go school by school to make sure that's working perfectly before we throw that out there to the public. Because if we throw that parent app out to the public and we throw those tablets on the bus, on every bus, and it doesn't work, we're gonna get some backlash, even though we're gonna work the bugs out of it. So we're gonna be starting with Pine Ridge's buses first, and we're gonna do a gradual rollout with those.
And I would assume, we're gonna do that soft launch, but at the same time, get Rachel to help us with PR and advertising, notifying
Yes.
communication to teachers, tell them what it means, all that. Good, very good.
And once we get the cameras installed, we are gonna be able to see, like you guys saw down there, we're gonna be able to see the buses everywhere, every bus. Which is gonna be a good safety feature for us. In case we get a bus in trouble, we know exactly where they're at. Me too.
Bridget,
Monica sent me a text and wanted to know now, what is our oldest bus in inventory?
Gosh.
Not the one,
The
not the
oldest,
ones that are the, emergency buses, but the ones that are
Okay.
big running.
I think,
on the road.
I think we still got an 07. I think we still got an 07 running. Let me get you the official details on that, because I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But we're getting there. We are getting there. The state safety grants, the state in its generosity again gave us $50,000 per school for the state safety grants. You know, we amended our budget last year with a lot of money. So we did a lot of safety upgrades last year. This year, we needed new cameras installed. We needed like 50 new cameras at the high school. We needed 15 or 18 at Mulberry Creek and Summit Park and Summit Creekside. And then our exact server that we use, our system is kind of getting outdated. So we're using the safety grant update to update our camera systems at each school. So Pine Ridge, Mountain Hill, and the new middle school are going to get a new camera server system because they've got all good cameras. So we're updating the server at those three. The other schools, we're updating cameras. And then as we go on, we'll move to that new server as well. So we're going to have a really robust camera system due to this safety and security upgrade. Any questions on that? And I'm working with Megan and Jan through the consolidated application with the DOE to get all of that funding and reimbursements taken care of. Online registration, new student registration. We're looking at all of the new students that we're getting. So if you'll look, and it's got little bitty print, but we made it as big as we could. We've got about almost 5,000. We've got almost 5,000. We've probably got about 5,700 or 4,700 online applications done and approved. What you're seeing here is by grade level and by school, the new student registrations at each school. Okay, so for instance, in first grade, Mulberry Creek has 2 new registrations in first grade. Mountain Hill has 1, Park has 4, Pine Ridge has 2. So we are not exploding at this point. You'll see the highest numbers are in 9th grade, 7th grade, and 11th grade. So total over there, way at the right-hand side at the bottom, we've got 394 new students. Now, keep in mind, every year we graduate 400 kids. And so now we're getting 400 more coming in. And 243 of those are pre-K, and we've got 200, I think 66 pre-K slots. So, and then 42 kindergartners. We always have a lot of kindergartners came in that didn't go to pre-K. So I gave you these numbers through our online registration of new student registrations that were not exploding.
Actually, we're flat.
So we are flat. And I talked to John Ramage today, as I said, and we're growing at about the rate that the DOE has projected us, about 35 to 40 kids per year. Yeah. So that is good news. That's good news because we're still growing, unlike some counties in the state, but we're growing at a manageable rate so that when we're making decisions for resources, new buildings, facilities, textbooks, all of that stuff, it's not unmanageable growth. So I hope you find that, those numbers reassuring and helpful.
I'm sure we do.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. I'm subject to any questions at this point.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Dr. Penny, did you have any?
Hello?
Dr.
Hello?
Sparks? Yes,
Can Dr. Finney please confirm that only new bus riders need to complete that online registration?
Yes, so with our new bus online registration, you may have seen some of the communications that are going out. Only people that have moved new to the district, that are new students, or somebody who has changed residence, needs to fill out a bus request application. If they have ridden the bus, if they rode the bus all last year, we automatically roll them over onto that bus, so they don't need to do an application. So yes, that's correct, Dr. Spark.
Yes, I was gonna ask, do you find out any information on the best for the SROs?
No, sir, I have not, but I talked to Chief Walden today, and my apologies, I will check on that.
Thank you for bringing that back up, Steve.
Yes, thank you. My apologies again.
Any other questions for Dr. Finney? All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. So that will take us to item E5, that the Harris County Board of Education listened to a financial update from Ms. Seha. Good evening.
So, I know I don't get to usually talk in the discussion section, but first I want to tell you all that we had a surprise audit for TRS and PSERS for fiscal year 22. So that's our teacher retirement and then our retirement system for bus drivers and nutrition. And we were flawless. We had no findings, and that is mostly part to Tracy Munoz in HR and Angie Murphy in payroll. So that is completed, and we pretty much got a perfect score on that audit. So yes, starting with some good news. My second item is we received the 2023 tax digest today from the Harris County Tax Commissioners. And that's in the front part of your folder.
actually, it's in front of their notebooks.
It's in the front of the notebooks. So we are recommending we leave the millage rate at 16.5 mils. So that one will not change the millage rate for us, but we do need to set our public meeting dates. And in order for us to follow the guidelines of the timing of when the public meeting has to be published in the newspaper and on our website, and for us to actually hold them in August, we need to go ahead and decide that tonight if possible. We'd like to hold them before our August board meetings. So we have to have 3. One of them would be on the Thursday, August the 3rd and at 10. The second one would be at 6 o'clock before the board meeting at on the 3rd. And then also on the next week's board meeting, Thursday, August the 10th at 6 o'clock before the regular board meeting is when we would like to hold those. 10 a.m., 6 p.m. on the 3rd. we're required to have 3 public meetings, so we can have 2 on in one day. And then the third meeting would be held on the 10th at 6 o'clock before the regular meeting.
Remind me, Mr. Ellington, do we have to have quorum to hold that? We do not, because it's only an information, it's, right.
Mr. Chair,
Right, not to have the public hearing, right.
Normally we do that at the board, the second board meeting.
Yes, sir, Mr. Little.
so I just want to point out, Ms. Sahad, again, the recommendation from you and superintendent is to leave the millage rate the way it is. I obviously, and I'm sure my friends sitting around here have already received phone calls as to why are you going up on my taxes? And I just want to be sure that we state this for the viewers, and if you can correct me if I state this incorrectly, it won't hurt my feelings. The tax increase that I and many of my friends received are based on the assessed value of that home this year.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Not so much the increase in the millage because we haven't moved the millage rate. Now, if we leave the millage rate the way it is, your property has a potential to increase because the value of your property has increased, but that is not directly related to any action that we have taken at this point. Did I state that correctly?
Yes, sir, that
Thank
is
you.
correct. Yes, we recommend we leave the millage rate staying the same at 16.5. But you are correct, that does not mean that their tax bill they receive will not go up.
And in my opinion, that's a very low millage rate in comparison across the state.
Yes, sir, it is.
Mr. Couch, I agree. And it's still, I would say, all things considered, with the quality of education that this county produces, the limited amount of industrial and commercial income, it is a low millage rate, not only across the state, but in our area. If you'll take a look at the counties that touch us and what you're getting for that, you're getting a pretty good deal, in my opinion.
I agree. But we'll, be glad to discuss it publicly.
Are there any objections to those dates for the tax hearing? Or any questions?
No, the only question the only concern that I had, Mr. Ellington addressed, because I didn't know if we had to have quorum or not. I didn't think we did, but I just wanted to clarify that. I mean, I know our 2 elder statesmen will be available because they're retired. The rest of us work still, so I don't know. I think, thank you. Will you be up by then? Okay, I don't think, did anyone have any other questions for Ms. Seha? No, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Sayah.
All right, so that will take us to item F1, that the Harris County Board of Education review the attached tabled proposed revision request to board policy JCDA Student Code of Conduct. As you know, this one has set on the books for the month required, and we will be voting on this next Thursday. Any questions about or discussion about that one? All right, that will take us to item F2, that the Harris County Board of Education review for approval, the attached proposed list of surplus equipment. And Ms. Baker, I know saw a thing come out. May have been on our website or somewhere about the milk refrigerators. We were able to get those all donated to the folks that wanted one, correct? Very good. right, does anyone have any questions regarding this list for Dr. Finney or any of the other? Okay. All right, so that will take us to item F3. That the Harris County Board of Education review the attached proposed policy revision to EEE-R-1 wellness program. Ms. Baker.
Yes. The last time we reviewed our wellness policy was school year 18-19. That's when we had our last administrative review audit. During that time, that's when we had some findings and we had to go back and review the current policy to update it. And we thoroughly combed it, reviewed it, revised it, and then after several meetings, we actually revised the policy in school year 19-20, which would have been August 1st, 2019. The policy is to be reviewed every 3 years for an assessment. And tonight, what I'm bringing to you is a one-word change. Our policy has to be revised to include water consumption. So on page 2, you will see the highlighted word water in the section that shows where we are adding water to our policy. Now, we've been, of course, promoting water usage throughout our schools and students drinking water, but we have to show that it has actually been printed in our policy. So that's the revision part. Along with this revision, after the policy, you will see a triennial assessment form. That is nothing for you to have to act upon. We have to show proof during our administrative review that the school board has seen the policy, has seen the assessment, that you reviewed it and received it. Nothing has to be submitted by you or from us in that regard, but when we actually get audited, which we will be audited this year, they're going to be looking for evidence that we actually showed it to you and that we actually updated it according to what their policy requirements are. Any questions?
Okay, so as it is a amendment to this policy, this has to sit on the books for 30 days, correct? Okay,
For
for
water.
water.
For water.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, any questions of Ms. Baker? All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So that will take us to item F4, that the Harris County Board of Education review the attached proposed policy revision request to DIB financial reports. Ms. Seha.
Yes, so the financial reports currently for our capital assets list that we capitalize machinery and equipment of $5,000 or more. And we would like to change that to $10,000. With inflation over the past several years, cameras and things, sometimes it's smaller equipment that we don't want to capitalize cost $5,000. And that's just something we are having to keep up with currently, that we would like to increase for record keeping purposes.
So this is a reduction in paperwork?
Yes, sir. Tagging,
Right,
inventory.
hey, I got you. I recommend we do it. None.
No.
We'll probably do that next month.
Well, and I'll say I understand the efficiency, Mr. Chair, also, the other items in our policy are part of the $10,000 mark, but bring it in line, be consistent, and the other items are, larger potential items.
Yeah.
But, it would be a consistent measurement.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Seha? Thank you, ma'am.
I'll just stay up here because I think the other ones are mine as well.
All right, so then that will take us to item F5, that the Harris County Board of Education review the attached proposed policy revision to GBRK professional personnel vacations. Ms. Seha.
So currently, all of our 12-month employees or 240-day employees earn 10 annual vacation days a year. And we would like to revise the policy to say they earn 12, so they earn 1 per month that they work. Right now, we only earn through May, and we don't earn the summer months for our 240 employees. And because they are year round, we would like to add 2 days to this policy and make it 12 for them.
Which would also bring us in line with all the surrounding counties.
Yes, that is correct.
So this has needed to been updated for a while now.
This is just my opinion, but, and I know that you can't answer this question, you weren't here, but what was the deal with cutting it off for 10 months to begin with? I don't understand that.
I am not sure.
Is it because that's school calendar year maybe? I mean, I know you weren't here, you
Yes.
can't answer that. Is that what it was, Couch?
Well, back in the day, 12-month employee was 230 days. You multiply 12 by 20 and see what you get. But that's the way it was 15, 20 years ago. Exactly. Yeah, they say you could take vacation anytime you want to. Yeah, any weekend. But yeah, it's archaic.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
let me ask, so that you earn the same number of days per month regardless of the number of years on the job? Because I know in some places,
Yes.
if you stay 3 years, you get so many days, you get 5 years, you get so many days, 10 years, you get so many days. So it doesn't matter if they're here a year or if they're here 25, it's still the same.
Correct. They earn 1 per month. So if technically we have somebody that comes and they only work 3 months, we don't front load those to our employees. They earn 1 per month.
And how many,
And we don't adjust them based on experience, that kind of stuff, which
No.
would be difficult. Part of what we run into with most of our people, me included, we don't take enough of our days anyway, and we're always, so if you don't take them by the end of June, you're gonna lose.
well, that was my next question. What is the max number of vacation days that anyone can carry?
You can carry 10 to the next year. So in 1 year, you could have 20, and now it will be 24.
All right, so you can basically roll 10 over.
Mhm. But once you reach
year.
that 10, you'll lose them. And we're not recommending we change that. We recommend that we keep that at 10. We cap it at 10.
Instead of
Excuse
what before you have 22 would be the max.
I got you.
22.
I got you, Dr.
Yes.
Sparks. Dr. Sparks has a question. Go ahead.
Will this be an additional cost? Will this cost us any money to add these extra days?
No, ma'am, it will not.
And Mr. Couch, again, I trust yours and Ms. Sahal's recommendation, but I also just wonder, the 10-day rollover, if you're acquiring or accruing 1 a month, why wouldn't you just roll over the 12 like your policy had 10? But I'm sure there's some reason.
If
that
if
wasn't
we could do that
considered, but-
without an accounting issue, I don't have a problem with that either for the 240-day pay.
Okay, we can change.
That way you could carry a year's worth.
That's
over,
right.
basically.
It just seems to make sense to me.
I don't disagree with that at all. So let's look at revising that policy and bring it next week. Okay.
Any other questions? All right. So that will take us to item F6, that the Harris County Board of Education review the attached proposed policy revision to GARH employee leaves and absences.
Okay, so this one is to change the leave cap on all of our employees. Currently, we have it structured if you are if you can earn and cap at 90 days sick leave for Harris County. So let me just say this up front. This sick leave policy has nothing to do with the total amount of days someone can earn towards their retirement. Your retirement sick leave amount, it carries with you to TRS or PSERS. And so those days never go away. No, sir. It's not. It is not. So you can earn infinite amount of sick days towards your TRS retirement, teacher's retirement system. This is only for Harris County carrying days for sick leave. So currently, we have 3 different types that we're keeping up with. We have 90 days cap for 10-month employees. 11-month employees earn 100 days, and then 12-month employees cap at 105 days. So we're recommending we change it to 100 days across the board to streamline this process. Right now, it's a little bit of a manual process, and we're really working towards using the new software to help us eliminate manual processes. And so that's one thing that this policy change would do. So all employees. Yes, you're still earning the same number of sick days, just the cap. That is correct.
Y'all get a chance to look at it?
The employees that have over 100 is only 25 out of 793 employees. And of those 25, all but 3 are sick bank members, which means if they ever had to use their 100 days, they would apply for sick bank in that situation, and it would kick in to help them with the overage that they did not have.
Mr. Lewis.
So I got another question on that. So if I understood what I think you just said, it would negatively impact 25 people. Obviously, some are going to increase and some are going to lose, but it will negatively impact 25 people. Is that correct?
Yes, but we do have them set up. Those 25 will be manually kept up with. So those 25 employees that have over 100 days, not more than 105, that will be the only manual work that we are.
So those 25, they're not going to lose the additional 5 they currently have.
Correct.
They just won't be able to accrue going forward.
Correct.
No, I understand. I just wanted to really get an understanding of the negative impact and how we're going to treat those that had
Yes,
accrued that additional 5.
yes, we do have that list, and we will be keeping up with those employees, those 25 employees.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Seah.
Thank you.
All right, so that will take us to item F7, that the Harris County Board of Education review the attached proposed bond referendum. Mr. Couch.
Well, you need to be reviewing. And if you have any questions about it, of course, we need to discuss it. But this is the resolution for the bond. And now, if you have any questions, and Tom and Dr. Finney are in the building, this is a good time to ask. I think Tom did a good job explaining what we were dealing with.
And I agree, Tom always does a great job of making something very, very confusing, understandable. So I appreciate that from a simple-minded person. But on this, Mr. Couch, this is where the edits we discussed earlier are going to be addressed before we take action on it.
So we want to be looking over it, and then, and of course, we can always email Tom, find out what's going on if we got any questions. Tom, I did want to say, Mr. Owens, I agree totally with what you've done with the timing of this. It's excellent.
Does anyone have any other questions that we didn't get when Tom was up there earlier? We'll look it over and review it, and we do have a couple of revisions that are going to go in there, and then if you have something else, please relay that to either Dr. Finney or Ashley, and they will get it to Tom and he'll review it. And if it's something that you think we need to run by Mr. Ellington, we can of course send it through Mr. Couch to Mr. Ellington as well.
Absolutely. We will. You will.
Yes. Bless you. All right. So that will take us to our consent agenda and item G1, that the Harris County Board of Education review the attached financial report for June of 2023.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to just commend Mr. Couch and his team. At 100% of the year, we, June 30 is the closure of the fiscal year. Being very mindful of the budget and being fiscally responsible. And I committed 98%, which is about as close as you can get. But without going over, and I don't know that there were very many things that that didn't get done this year that should have gotten done. So I commend you for managing that very well.
Well, on behalf of the whole staff and everybody that worked with it, and a lot of people, I appreciate that, but always remember there's a lot of luck involved with that. The economy did really, really well. So based on what we were told a year ago, it did unbelievable. So we're fortunate, but everybody did a good job.
Most definitely. Any other questions or discussion about that financial report? All right, so that will take us to item G2, that the Harris County Board of Education review the attached major purchases report for June of 2023. Anyone have any questions regarding any of these? Dr. Finney, the McMath Turner construction, that's the road repair speed tables, that's the finishing of the expanded driveway, the new speed table, all that good stuff, correct?
Yes, so that was outside of the active construction. So that takes us from Harris County High School up to the top of the hill, up to the indoor practice facility with those people.
Very good. All right. So that will take us to item G3, that the Harris County Board of Education review the attached SNP financial report for June of 2023.
Chair, can I also say how glad I am to see a positive number at the end of this year.
Very
Oh, yeah.
much so.
For yet another year, Ms. Baker and your team, we appreciate that. And you know, we chuckle, but that does not come without effort. And as we have seen, haven't we, Steve? So anyway, thank you and your team for bringing that positive number back again at the end of this year.
Yeah, I didn't like signing that little thing we used to have to sign every. That was not pleasant. Yeah, you remember that. Or you blocked that out? Okay. All right, so that will take us to item H, that the Harris County Board of Education share comments, news, and information they might have with the public and other members of the board. This evening, I'm going to start with our virtual member, Dr. Sparks. You have anything you'd like to share?
Just thank you to everyone who made my attendance at tonight's meeting possible. I appreciate it.
All right. Ms. Oliver.
I just wanted to say how exciting it is to hear them talking about the heavy machinery. When he said heavy machinery, I'm so glad to hear the word simulator after that. I was like, yeah, made me nervous. He said, we're getting 4. And I went, oh no, big trucks. And he said simulators, and that was nice. But great job with all that grant money. Did you hear those totals? Man, that was exciting to hear that is going to equate to opportunities and doors opening for students that they wouldn't ordinarily have. Such a blessing. That's so great. And to be audited, to hear the word audit, and to get a 100, I'm just so excited for that. You guys are killing it. You're doing such a great job, and we are so grateful that you keep us legal, and we're grateful.
Dave Denny's already booked it. Dave Denny's already booked it.
Good night.
Like I say, I really don't have anything. I know everyone's getting excited for the start of the new school year. I too am glad that we were able to get the heavy equipment. I remember reading about that from the state, and they mentioned it, that if we could get it, we need to try to get it. And I'm just glad we were able to get it. That was just tremendous accomplishment for that. I want to thank Dr. Finney too. Yesterday, he was gracious enough to take us around to visit some of our property and stuff, and the old Mountain Hill School, to look at it with this time and what future boards will have on their hands and that may come up for them to use. And I hope the folks that are elected are intuitive enough to use to the best needs that arise. So, but other than that, I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Lip.
Yeah, I want to say, how nice it was to meet all of the new team members tonight, all the administrators that were here and their families. It was nice to meet them. I too appreciate Dr. Finney's time yesterday afternoon. It was well worth the trip for me. And it won't be long. I'm sure those that are watching from the beach don't want to hear this, but it won't be long. We'll be starting back up. And some of them have never stopped. There's been a lot happening over the summer, a lot of things going on, but a lot of good stuff. So I appreciate all the effort of everyone.
Green.
Yeah, I just want to say how much I appreciated the event tonight, Ms. Carlisle, for putting that together with all of our new administration and key roles here that we're filling. And also the hard work that you and Dr. Finney have put in to get our bus drivers in order and line to where hopefully we can get all our kids to and from school on a regular basis. Tom, I want to say thanks for coming again and helping us work through this process. I mean, your knowledge and information is always spot on. So we appreciate you coming in and helping us with that. As some of my colleagues have said, I mean, lots have been going on. I mean, Ms. Baker, with all your stuff going on, I know we got the one-stop shop, whatever thing's called, coming up. I mean, I know that, but I mean, I'm glad that we get to the point where the technology side of it, to where it makes the process easier to go through all these forms and all the stuff that these parents need to go through. And hopefully we'll have some assistance to help them through that on the 29th. So kudos to you and your team. But I know, but there's lots of moving parts going on right now, and just want to say thanks to everybody that's involved and helping us get ready to open up and get ready for a new school year.
Mr. Proctor.
Have another good year.
Mr. Couch.
It seems like a year ago, but the Savannah GSBA was really good. I enjoyed the training. I enjoyed being with y'all, and I thought it was a really good thing. I do want to take this opportunity because you two guys are here, but Dr. Finney and Tom and John Ramage, who's here in spirit and sarcasm like he always is, which is really good. I mean, you three people working together have done an exceptional job in improving the facilities in this area. Our school system, we have taken great strides over the last 5, 6, 7 years to really build well, build smart, and to do it in a well-funded way. And a lot of systems can't say that. And we're lucky, we're fortunate, we're in this community, but you three people, especially you two, have done an exceptional job in what y'all done. I love riding around, seeing stuff happening. There's so much going on, sometimes it's hard to see. You go between the Carver Circle and the elementary school, and all of a sudden that place has been patched. You know, you're doing all kinds of things, Justin. I really, really appreciate it. And Tom, your help has been exceptional. Thank you.
I too would like to echo all of the accolades that went out tonight. I would also like to say, it was great to get to recognize, even though it wasn't on this video, we recognized some of our new hires, some of our leadership folks that are new hires that are coming in to join the team. Some new coaches. It was great to see all of them and their families here tonight. Thank you, Ms. Carlisle, and your team for putting that on. It's always great to get to meet those folks who touch so many lives. New chorus, new band, new ROTC folks. It's great. And you guys, your team did a great job. I talked to all of them and they all seem top notch to me. So very good job with your team and recruiting and everything, drawing them to Harris County. Thank you for that. I'd like to take a little personal moment here, just to thank this board and the entire Harris County community for the outpouring of love and prayers through calls, emails, texts, and visits during my father's recent passing. We were truly humbled and appreciative to this community for the love that you gave us all, and we greatly appreciated it. He was a great man, and he will truly be missed by this community and the educators in this community that he touched and worked with through his years of service. So thank you for that. At this time, I'll entertain a motion that we move to executive session to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee, or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent, to discuss or vote to authorize negotiations to purchase, dispose of, or lease property, authorize ordering and appraisal related to the acquisition or disposal of real estate, enter into contract to purchase, dispose of, or lease property subject to approval in a subsequent public vote, and to consider a matter involving the disclosure of personally identifiable information from a student's educational record. Do I have a motion? Mr. Lips, second, and Mr. Proctor. Any discussion? All in favor? We'll be excused to executive session. Thank you, Tom.
Did a good job. Thank you, Tom.
Yes, sir.